Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and I have 3 fun Christmas cards to share with you today. Hey, so I'm using Jaded Blossom's Gingerbread Calories stamp set, their Gingerbread Wishes stamp set, their border dies, Jaded Blossom's Build a Wreath die, along with Gnome Die's gingerbread add-ons. I'm using a Gingerbread Christmas from Echo Park, their 12-inch paper line. And I did put these together already. Remember, you can check out the assembly videos. I have assembly videos for all of these. And I also used Rustic Wilderness around the edges of all the green cardstock from Distress Ink. So first I have a piece of, this is that pattern paper from that 12-inch paper line. This is 4 inches square. And then this one is 4 1/8 inch square. There we are. And those are both from that 12-inch paper line, a Gingerbread Christmas from Echo Park. Now I'm going to add that to the bottom portion of my A2 size card base that is made from Paper Ink white cardstock, 4.25 by 11, scored at 5.5 inches with my Martha Stewart scoreboard and my Teflon bone folder. So there we are. So we have those put together. Then this I cut out using Jaded Blossom's border dies, and I use that same green pattern cardstock. And I did ink around the edge with Distress Ink in Rustic Wilderness, just because it's white core, you know. Now I'm going to trim off the overhang with a pair of scissors. So there you have that. Now on the inside, I'm going to add a strip of paper, and that is just leftover from that pad. I believe that's 4 1/8 inches wide. And I'm just going to add that to the bottom inside of my card. There we go. Now I'm going to do some stamping. So I'm going to stamp a sentiment on the outside. Hope your holidays are the sweetest. And I'll be stamping that in VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink, using my Misty, of course. That's your best friend. So I'm just going to ink that up. Remember, don't press too hard. You don't want the letters to get squished and the font to be messed up. So there you go. And on the inside, I'm going to stamp Merry Christmas. And, I can't remember what the other one is. It's such a small window that I'm kind of watching as I'm doing this. So I'll have to tell you in a second here. So it'll say Merry Christmas. And then the other sentiment will say, what does it say here? Wishing you a yummy holiday season, because I just thought that kind of went with it. So this is another one. Remember, I'm making 3 cards. So I'm just doing the same thing. I'm going to add the inside paper. There we are. And I'm going to do the same thing for this one. I believe this little strip is a little bit smaller in width. And then I'll add that. So it's just got a fun kind of cookie pattern, right? Now I'm taking, this is the sticker sheet that came with that A Gingerbread Christmas from Echo Park. And I'm going to add a gingerbread sticker on the inside to all 3 cards. There we are. So that's the inside of all 3 cards. Isn't that fun? Now I'm going to do the exact same thing to these other 2, right? A 4-inch square of that cookie pattern, and then a 4 1/8 inch square of that green. And then adding that to the bottom of each card. So the idea is I wanted to use the Gnome Dies gingerbread add-ons, but not for gnomes. So I went ahead and I built the gingerbread man, the gingerbread girl, and the gingerbread house, assembled those, and I'll be using that as a main image on my card, along with the little ribbon or the little bow that comes in the wreath, the Build a Wreath dies set. I just assembled that out of that same green pattern cardstock. I did ink around the edge with that Rustic Wilderness, like I said. So I'm just going to add that one on as well. So I'll have 3 of these cards when I'm done. Now, I'm just going to add on those borders. And you'll notice that card on the left that's kind of out of the screen now. I realized that I smeared my sentiment. Remember, you got to be careful with VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink. It does take a while to dry, and that's what happens when you're messing around. Look at that. Look at my mess. It's like, how can I fix that? So I'm going to add my border on there, and then I will trim off that overhang with a pair of scissors. So it's very simple. And first, I think I'm going to use the eraser. And it does take off a bunch of it, but there was still some, some mess behind the sentiment itself. And I wasn't going to be able to fix that. So I decided to just cut another piece of white paper and cover it up. So I'm just going to take another piece of paper tray ink white cardstock, and I'm going to stamp that same sentiment again on it. And then I will cut it so it fits the size of that top little area. And no one will know but you and me that I had a big mess under there, right? But remember, you got to let that stuff dry. You know, that's the biggest problem with VersaFine Clear Nocturne ink. Although for me, I love it because it gives you like the perfect crisp sentiments. You just have to be a little bit careful and make sure it dries. So I'm going to add that ATG tape, covering the top of that card well. And then I'm going to cover up my boo-boo, sort of lining up the sentiment in the same spot. And then I'm just going to trim off that cardstock. And then, like I said, no one will know about our boo-boo that happened there on that third card. There we go. See, you can't tell. Everything's fine. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to be taking this little bow die and I'll be adding that onto my card with some ATG tape. These cards are relatively flat other than the fact that I'm going to pop up the gingerbread people and the gingerbread house. So there's my little gingerbread man. That is cut out of American Crafts cardstock. And then I used white glitter cardstock from Simon Says Stamp for the icing and the buttons. And then I used American Crafts black cardstock just to sort of fill in behind the face. And the little bow tie is red from that same Echo Park Gingerbread Christmas 12-inch paper line. So you see that I just sort of stuck down the bow. Whoops. And then in the center of the bow, I put my little gingerbread person that's popped up on some dimensionals. So I just think it turned out pretty cute, right? There we go. Now the last one, I realized that the gingerbread house is a little bit too wide. So what I do is I cut the bow in half. No one's going to know but you and me that the bow isn't in one piece, right? And I'm just going to spread the bow out a little bit. So when I add the house, it's not, you can still tell there's a bow under there. Just going to make sure that's in the right spot. I'm going to have it right to the edge there. And then I will add my little house. Oops. And of course it picks up the edge of that bow. Oops. See, I sort of started messing around there, and there we go. Isn't that cute? So like I said, everything that I used will be listed on my blog. So now I have 3 cards, and I decided to pull out Jaded Blossom's banner dies and their embellishment cluster dies, and I cut out that same green color in hearts. So I cut the 2 hearts from the banner dies and then the 2 larger sizes from the embellishment cluster dies, and I'm going to add those as embellishments in green. So I'm adding 3 in the lower right and 2 in the upper left. There we go. So, you know, visual triangles and all that stuff, right? And I'll do the same thing for this card. So really the card is pretty flat. Now, had I stuck my little gingerbread people and houses down flat, it would have been pretty flat for the mail. But I did add, like I said, a little bit of dimension behind those gingerbread men and the gingerbread house. So, but you could have chosen to keep things a little bit more flat if you'd like. But I think it turned out pretty cute, right? And then now the last ones. Adding on these little hearts. And then we'll be pretty much done. And like I said, always fun for Christmas, gingerbread, right? And you can always use a couple more Christmas cards for that stash. There we have it. So thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to hop on over to the Jaded Blossom blog, be inspired by the team. The Jaded Blossom store to get your hands on these amazing products. And thanks as always for watching my videos. I really appreciate it. Make sure you get shopping. Bye, everybody.